Yeah, it's Mindset Café, we all got that mindset. Gotta stay focused, never settle for less. It's all in your head, how you think you manifest. So get ready to rise, cause we about to be the best. Gotta switch it up, gotta break the old habits. Get your mind right, turn your dreams into habits. No negative vibes, only positive thoughts.
By doing this. So listen to this episode and welcome back to the Mindset Cafe podcast. It's your boy Devin. And this episode is going to talk about essentially how do you beat 99% of people right now, right? You can beat most people at anything if you just don't quit when it gets boring, right? So I want to dive into this a little bit because the bar is set so low right now, and you can beat 99% of people at anything if you just don't quit, if you don't give up, if you get up again after you get knocked down or an obstacle gets put in your place, and even more importantly, when it gets boring. So the first thing is I want you to realize that I'm saying boring and not hard, right? Not giving up when it gets boring, not hard, because that's where success is made. It's by doing boring things for an extended period of time in more volume, more reps than any sane person would find reasonable, right? The world belongs to those who keep fighting after realizing winning won't be fast, it won't be easy, or even guaranteed. In saying that, I have a little poster next to me, and it says winning isn't for everyone, because it's not. Success isn't for everyone. And that's because most people at any sign of adversity, any sign of resistance or friction, that's when they're like, that's where I draw the line in the sand. But anything worth value is going to take effort. It is going to take time. It might take money. It might take, you just showing up on the days you don't feel like it and doing the boring tasks. The tasks that you just feels like you're doing them, full effort, but it's just, you're trying to stay awake because it's that boring. It's no one ever told you and promised you that it was going to be fun. No one ever said this journey is going to be like going to Disneyland. This journey to your goal is going to be a walk in the park. You're going to love every day of it. No one ever said that. No one ever promised you that. And if they did, they're lying to you. Because your goal is going to take so much effort that you don't even know you're going to have to put in yet. It's going to take the effort mentally, physically, maybe even emotionally. And some of that effort is just doing the mundane, doing the boring things, but they're important things. Some things build skills. Some things are progressions leading you up to that next step. You will beat most people just by outlasting that boredom, because everyone sees that shiny new thing, or, they see the grass is always greener over on the other side. I was having a talk with my new barber, and if you guys listened to the last episode, I had a conversation with our previous barber, but new barber, and the conversation essentially was the fact of, I asked him how things were going, and he was like, "Oh, they're a little slow right now, but it's normal, right?" And I was like, "Of course, I completely get it. There's seasons at the gym, there's seasons in business, 100%." And I was like, "Isn't it funny how right now you're probably wishing it was a little busier, right?" And he looked at me and he said, "Yeah, it'd be nice if it was a little bit busier." And I was like, "But isn't it funny once it is super busy, because there's going to be those slam months, we got Halloween coming up, we got Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's. The next couple months are going to be slammed, I guarantee." He's like, "Yeah, it gets really busy during those times." And I was like, "Well, luckily I got my locked in appointment." But I was like, isn't it funny during those times that all of a sudden we're like, man, I just wish there was a slow day. I wish there was a day I could just breathe. And he laughed, and he's like, "Yeah, honestly, I didn't really think about that." He's like, when it's busy, we want it to be slow. When it's slow, we want it to be busy. And that's the nature of us. That's the nature of humans. And so even though it's slow and it might be boring right now, you showing up with the effort, showing up with the work ethic, like we talked about in a previous episode, showing up with the attitude, like we talked about in the last episode, those are the things that separate the people that achieve success and don't achieve success. Because no one told you it was going to happen tomorrow. No one said it's going to take a year. No one said your journey will happen after this many days. So you need to think about, tomorrow may be it, it may not be it, but I'm going to achieve my goal, and that is undeniable. It's not a matter of if I'm going to achieve it, it's just when I'm going to achieve it. So I'm going to keep showing up. Exciting, boring, happy, sad, doesn't matter. I show up. That's who I am. And if you can have that mantra and have that identity ingrained in yourself of, this is who I am, I show up. If I said I'm going to do something, I show up. If I'm going to do something, I do it 100% and I show up. I'm present when I do things. There's a difference between almost like the mental capacity or the effort versus something that's hard and something that's boring. Sometimes boring is hard. Don't get me wrong. Hard, people will see it and they'll see the difficulty and they'll want to achieve it. And just like, playing a new video game and you want to beat the next level, you'll keep trying because it's hard. But the moment that hard turns to boring, that's where people are like, you know what? I've tried this too many times. I'm bored of trying. I keep having to do the same part. I have to keep, prepping my meals. It's like, this is getting boring. I hate, I'm getting bored of going to the gym every single day. It's like, why? Those are the things that you need to do to achieve what you want to achieve. No one said you're going to have fun doing it. Do you want to achieve it or not? I mean, that's a question you have to ask yourself. But think about this. If you've always been that person that had a goal, did it until it got boring, or until you felt bored with it, and you're like, oh, look, there's a new thing. Let's try that. And then you go, all of a sudden it gets boring, and you're like, oh, I need to find something new. This is boring now. Switch. How far do you get on each of those things? Probably not very far. You have to stick with it long enough to actually allow the skills, the talent, the whatever it may be to rise to you, or for you to rise to it. Essentially, it compounds. And again, that compounding doesn't happen evenly. It doesn't happen every single day. It happens collectively over days, weeks, months, years. But no one told you this was going to be fun. If you're in it for fun, it's not going to last very long. Fun fades. Excitement fades. Think about when when you first started dating, or when you first got married, you were all excited, to tell everyone, this is my new boyfriend, this is my new girlfriend, right? I'm in a relationship now. You just got engaged. You're all excited to show off the ring, or tell everyone I have a fiance, or we just got engaged. But then that slowly fades. And then all of a sudden you get married and you're like, oh, wow, this is my wife. And, all of a sudden there's that new excitement. But again, that aspect fades. There's like a honeymoon phase to essentially everything that we do in life. And if all of a sudden the honeymoon phase ends and you're like, I need to switch things because I need to get that endorphin rush, that, all of a sudden that excitement again, this is boring. How far are you going to get on anything? Think about if that's how you treated your relationships. The honeymoon phase ends and all of a sudden you're like, oh, new relationship. That's how you have to treat your goals. Your goals are a relationship. What you put in is what you get out. What you put in is what you get out. And just because you're putting in 100% of effort doesn't mean that it's going to happen at the same speed as someone else. You have to think it's volume over time. Your volume and my volume might be different. And that's okay. No one said it's one path, follow this path, everyone wins on this path. It's you start here, I start here, and we figure it out. You might go right, I might go left. I might have to come back left, and you might have to go right. You figure it out as you go, you adjust as you go, but you show up regardless. There is almost a boredom like threshold that sinks in, and I think it is around that honeymoon phase, or maybe a little bit after, when all of a sudden something new comes around, and it might not even be the excitement, to be honest. It might be all of a sudden you feel like you hit a plateau, whether it's working out, whether it's at your job, whether it's, at a skill that you've been trying. You feel like you hit a wall, and all of a sudden you start to get bored because you can't get around that wall. You can't get around that hurdle. That's where you find the new path around the hurdle to continue on the path to achieving what you want to achieve. It's not finding a new path to go find and do something else. It's find the way around the obstacle so you can keep going forward. You have to realize that like when you start to get bored, maybe it's because you've already achieved everything you can achieve at that one level, at the one spot that you hit your goal, and you haven't set a new goal yet, because that can happen too. You can get bored by not setting new goals. And people tell me all the time with business, they're like, when are you going to stop? Like, what is your goal? Well, this is my next goal. But then there's going to be a goal after that, and a goal after that, and a goal after that. Because once you reach the peak of the mountain, you have to look for the next peak. It doesn't stop once you get there. You can always achieve more. Remember the mantra that we've talked about multiple times. Your goal is to get 1% better every day. That's not every day until you reach X. That's every single day of your life. Your goal is to get 1% better in an area of your life. If that's the case, that statement is infinite. In your life, you're looking at things on an infinite scale, not a finite scale. So make sure that when you do hit friction or you do hit boredom, that it's like, okay, well, am I hitting a plateau? Is it, do I need to try to see what else I can do to achieve? Like, for example, let's say you, play the guitar. You learned your favorite couple songs. You learned chords. You learned how to, do a little solo. Cool. Have you learned, how to the slide technique? Have you learned how to finger pick? Have you learned how to, do these other skills that are within the skill to make you a better guitarist? Let's say you're a personal trainer. You're getting bored of personal training, which one, I don't see how you could. Like, if that's, you got to realize what your reason why was for even starting becoming a personal trainer. But let's say you get bored of becoming a personal trainer, right? Are you bored of being a personal trainer, or are you bored of the workouts that you can design because you haven't found that next level? If you only do Olympic style, lifts, like traditional bodybuilding lifts, like maybe study some kettlebells. It's a whole set of movement patterns out there that you don't even know about. You master that, you're a kettlebell expert, right? And bodybuilding expert. Cool. What about powerlifting? What about slam balls, medicine ball workouts, stability workouts? What about, there's always something else that can be learned that can elevate you on your path to that next peak. But you have to have the willingness to learn. You have to have the willingness to get uncomfortable. I'm sure you've heard the phrase, get comfortable being uncomfortable, because that uncomfortable stage is where growth is happening. It's hard. Good. That means you're growing. So if I want you to almost take a note of what are you doing in your life that's on the path to achieve your goal that you are feeling bored in, right? Take a note throughout the day. All of a sudden you get bored, take a little mental note or take a note in your phone. This is starting to get boring. What else? And then you can start to brainstorm or use chat GPT and be like, hey, how can I get better at this? What's the next level to this? I'm starting to get bored playing the guitar. This is what I know. How do I level up from there? It's that simple. But you need to take the steps to actually do it and actually get better. Check off, get a calendar and check off all the days that you pushed yourself a little bit further than your norm. Create like a boredom streak calendar. Every time you felt bored, you pushed a little bit further. You try to do something new. Take yourself out of your comfort zone. Give your self a little star on the calendar if that's what you need to do. But if you can't seem to get over your boredness, or you feel like you plateaued, maybe it is your circle a little bit. Is everyone that you hang out with on a daily basis complacent? You don't need to, leave the circle, but maybe expand your circle. Get outside your comfort zone and go meet some new people that are on the path that you're trying to get to. For example, even here at Strive 11, there's the regular workouts, but then twice a year we have the elite challenges, right? And with those, there's extra workouts, there's extra things that come with it, but that takes someone that is getting comfortable outside their comfort zone. You weren't tracking your macros before. Guess what? Now you are. You weren't meal prepping before. Now you are. You weren't weighing in all the time, checking those kind of things and looking at your body composition. Now we are. There's always more that you can do so that you don't let boredom sink in. You have to create the boredom-free environment. And once you can do that, that's when growth starts to happen. So it's up to you to actually take those steps, but with yourself, almost create like an anti-quitting contract. I will not quit ever, right? I will not quit until I am able to do X. Once I do X, then I can let myself off the hook if I still don't like it. This is almost like a rule that my parents had. I'm the firstborn out of 3 boys. And I've told other people on podcasts that they ask, how growing up is and how is being the oldest and how I got into personal training and everything. And I tie it all back to essentially playing sports. And what I mean by that is, and how I'm tying this back to not quitting, was my parents instilled something into me as a young kid. I was pretty much their test dummy on all the sports. I did fencing, I did tennis, I did, you name it. And I didn't like all of them. But once I signed up for the season, I could not quit. I had to show up. I had to go to practice. I had to do the tournaments or whatever the case may be. And at the end of the season, if I didn't want to do next season, that was fine. But I had to finish. There was no quitting mid-season, quitting after one practice. There was none of that. So create an anti-quitting contract with yourself until you finish that season. If you're still not feeling it after that season, okay, maybe it's time to adjust your path. But just because you're bored right now doesn't mean that you get to quit. Set the end goal, achieve the end goal. Don't quit until you hit that end goal. Find the adjustments, find the resources that you need to achieve the goal. And if you're still unhappy after you hit your first goal, okay, let's set a different goal. Let's change trajectory. So hopefully with this, you guys are repositioning your boredom, your complacency, your, feeling like you're in a rut, and look for that next thing. Look for the thing you can add to whatever you're doing, whatever your goal is, and maybe set that new goal. But more importantly, find a friend who's stuck and send them this episode. Because just like we were talking about, maybe it's your circle. Well, if you can help your circle level up and get out of their complacency, get out of their rut, and they start leveling up, in turn, you're going to be in a circle with people that are trying to level up, and you're going to end up leveling up too. Because if you're around 5 millionaires, you're going to be the 6th. Just how the world works. So help your friends level up. Send them this episode. Send them whatever your favorite episode was, and help them level up as well. But I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. And if you guys ever need anything, send me a DM on the Mindset Cafe podcast on Instagram, or you can send one to my Instagram. I'm always here, happy to help any way I can, guys. See you guys on the next one.
No negative vibes, only positive thoughts. Just in the game of life, mindset causes shots. Got my mind on the prize, I can't be distracted. I stay on my grind, no time to be slacking. I hustle hard.